All right. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly market prep. I'm Mr. M, and so I'm just gonna have to mute you guys for a second. Yeah, and welcome to our Sunday market session designed to equip us for the week ahead. Today we'll be taking a look at at the Fridays price action and give you some comprehensive overview of the of what happened in the market. It was pretty exciting week. So let's jump right in. So what we normally do here, we'll be taking a look at the preview of the economic events for the coming week and consider the potential market impact. Along with examining the companies that are set to report the earnings to see whether we have any possible opportunities. As always, we'll take a look and scan for some potential momentum trades that may be relevant for tomorrow, so Monday's early pre-market session. We'll we'll review some current swing positions and look at few potential swing setups, that we are worth paying attention to. So yeah, let's get started with that. And as usual, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'll be attending to the chat as best as I can, but like I said, I'm trying to get through this initial sections pretty quickly, so that we can focus on on taking your questions outside of the recorded session. Right, so let's look at the economic data for the upcoming week. Not seeing from the major impact. We've got a retail sales on Tuesday and building permits. So that's pretty much it from the highest impact. I don't see much of what we should be concerned with to begin with. Yeah, I think we've got initial jobless claims on Thursday. So that's one thing that we need to be paying attention to. The forecast is 242. So we're still expecting the jobless claims to go up. Okay. And the reason for that would be to prove the slowdown of the economy. But we're relatively easy, or not heavy in terms of economic data for the next week. So that's okay. I think week after that we've got something to worry about, because we've got Fed decision rate on the Fed interest decision rate, but we'll cover that next week. Right, let's look at some earnings and put some down for our analysis later on. So on Monday we've got nothing. We've got a Bank of America. We've got it. Yeah, it's banking season here. Morgan Stanley, Bank of America. Okay, what I do want to, we've got some hard hitters coming up. ASML, that's what I want to take a look at. Netflix, Tesla. Okay. Wednesday before open. IBM United Airlines. Okay. So this is Wednesday after close. Same for Tesla and Netflix. Okay. Then we've got American Airlines, Johnson & Johnson. on Thursday here. Okay, so quite a few to take a look at. Okay, well, I've listed a couple of them, so we'll take a look at them later in the session. Right, so let's review some major indexes from Friday. Nasdaq experienced a minor drop of 0.2%, whilst S&P saw the 0.1% dip. The weekly charts indicate a steady candle finish despite the pullback. It is a bit stretched, around 8% from the 50-day line here. But on a weekly, we see, this looks quite bullish. There was a nice move up here from this consolidation zone on Nasdaq as well. Right, let's look at the SPY here. Similar scenario here as well. And again, this is on the weekly chart here. The Russell 2000 faced slightly larger setback, down by 1.1%. Pretty much largely driven by the weakness in the financials sector. But we still have this cap and handle setup over here, and we finished above the breakout zone, that key pivot level. Dow, yeah, Dow showed some resilience. Yeah, in general, the market, showed some strength, but we saw some selling towards the week's end, especially on Friday. But it's not like it was unexpected, right? We've been going up for quite some time here as well. So where do we go from here? Let's look at I want to take a look at the sort of the RSI here on the SPY. And I want to go to we're just peeking through that 70 mark here, just in time for pullback. And if you attended the previous sessions on the weekly prep, I've actually covered the scenario that every time we got extended here on SPY, it was followed by another pullback, and the same thing happened over here, right, where we had this pullback, and we're kind of entering that territory here as well. So I think everything looks pretty good, although we need to be cautious, because like I said, we are pretty extended here, from that 50-day line here, up 5% on SPY, on Nasdaq. Yeah, 8% on Nasdaq as well. On Dow, that was all right, but it's coming up here for nice consolidation, and possible another leg up. So yeah, so I think this is looking pretty solid. But I wouldn't be really sort of putting our eggs in one basket as we go to the next week. Just play it slow. I think a lot of stocks are overbought here, and we may continue a level of consolidation here as well. Right. Okay. What I do want to take a look at the semiconductor ETF SMH. I think it rallied here, well above that pivot level, hitting new highs, but then it pulled back, quite a bit. I think this is largely driven by, by NVIDIA. That just had an incredible week, hitting the new highs here of 480. I think it's just surpassed my expectations, definitely. And yeah, and so I think it just pullback is due here as well. I think we're also looking for the rebalancing of the S&P 500, right? And that could slightly affect the ETF's performance. Again, but I think most likely that rebalancing, because the news was already out, I think, is already being priced in. So, but we'll have to see. All right. Okay. So I want to take a look at here also on the AMD. Yeah, very big pullback here. Pretty much gave away all the gains that it had, and now sort of trying to hold that support level here. But there is a possibility we may come down here to that 50-day line. But again, in that type of market, what we need to understand that sometimes these, and I think Tony was I think it was you somewhere in the chat, you mentioned that, those pullbacks are like gifts, right? Because they create opportunities to get in if you missed the initial entry. So
that's true.
Especially on these on these bigger caps with a solid growth.
Yes.
So yeah. All right. So any questions on the major indexes here?
Matt, could you explain a little bit more about the re-indexing that they're doing with the S&P?
Yeah, I think as far as I understand, it's just, there's too much weight, right, that is giving to the the major 7 growth companies, and they just need to rebalance the percentage that they hold in the ETF to make it more even. Because if let's call, I think we just try to keep the balance, because I think so here's what I've read about this, that you now have some experimental ETFs that have nothing to do with technology or growth, but they still putting the growth companies like NVIDIA, AMD into the ETFs. So essentially making, and obviously that will have an impact on the broader market. But I think it's just how the major index needs to hold up overall, right? And so it doesn't affect the bigger picture, needs to be respected. So that's why I think, in my opinion, that's why they looking into it, in order to make sure that it's, who else should have a bigger pie.
Right. Maybe reducing volatility a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. If we see the growth taking off, so you can see what this can do in terms of the imbalance, right? If suddenly growth takes off like it has, let's take a look at the Qs, right? And now, and then we've got those 7 major companies driving this, then is that a true reflection of what it is happening in the market, which is what what's the major ETF should be all about, right? The balance picture of everything. So yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, actually funny you mentioned that, because I wanted to take a look at ARK as well. this is going to be the first play here that I'm watching for. It's actually breaking from, you know, sort of cap and handle here on expanding volume. Okay, but it's had a pretty, you know, 2% to over 2% pullback on Friday. So we may see this coming down here to test the 8-day line before moving back up. So I think ARK is definitely one to watch sort of moving forward, because listen, like, look at those bases. I mean, if you've been, and this is to what I wanted to say to everyone that is new to the group, that, you know, we trade the market cycles, right? And so we just coming off, you know, from the markdown stage here, and now we creating a base, okay, which is accumulation stage. Okay, so just to give you an idea, like you had a markdown here, you had an accumulation stage, right, which is the base, and now you have the markup, right? But what I want to show you here, and that's the point that I was trying to make with regards to the swing trades, is they don't just move in one line, right? It's not just like that, right? You know, especially like if you look at the, where is it? Oh, I can't see it. There we go. Market doesn't just move up, right? Or unless you're on a bigger time frame. But as you go to the smaller time frames, you start noticing that the market is fractal, right? So we need to be able to understand those stages and phases that market moves in order to you know, decide how we can build our position and, you know, continue the increasing our exposure when the time is right. But it doesn't just move up, right? It has pullbacks as well, because I saw some people commenting like, hey, I've just been here in this position for 2 days. I guess, you know, we had a trade idea for something that was just, you know, getting out of the base, and someone had, hey, it's not moving, right? Well, sometimes that's just the way it goes. So yeah, in terms of ARK, I like the setup. As you can see here, we may experience some pullback here, but then again, for the bigger base, I think that it is being, you know, we're building up here as well. So, you know, this will move with the cues. Watch the earnings. I think there's, and just go and watch the, you know, see what's actually in the ARK ETF to see how this can go. But, you know, looking back, you know, it was at highs was 160. Now it's only 48, right? So if you can answer the question, where do we see the tech sector moving in the next, let's call it 12, 18 months, then it should give you some level of indication where this ETF can move following that. One that I've got on my watch list for today is SHOP. And I want to pay attention to this because
one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, and again, look, you know, we've been trading SHOP for, you know, quite a bit again, right? And just to give you an idea again on what I was talking about, right? You know, that we had the base and we got a breakout, and we get a pullback, another base. That's again a stage one, and we just continue moving up. But I don't know if you heard the news, but SHOP just introduced the new AI into the system that can literally be your AI designer of your shop. So it's a prompt base. It's a prompt base, and it is allowing you to do amazing things with the shop. So it can just redesign your shop. Like, you just do a bit of research on it. But I think the Gymshark has now implemented this, and a few other major brands, from what I've heard, are also taking that approach. And I think it will only bring more people, you know, that were previously hesitant to have their e-commerce business on the platform to Shopify. So I can only see the growth from, you know, from that.
Phew, that's great.
And, you know, looking at, you know, their sales were steady over the last 2 years, double digits. You know, the EPS is, you know, not great. But sales are growing. And yeah, so I'll be, you know, one to watch here, especially as it's kind of re-breaking that level. All right. Another one that I want to take a look at here is Spotify. Because Spotify is just a monster. I think we've been in it since, yeah, a break from that base around here, around 125. And it's just been, I think I remember we've been talking about this, I think over here, where it was just moving sideways for a couple of weeks and not doing much, but then it's just exploded and it's just non-stop. So I think any pullbacks on Spotify can be really a great opportunities, especially if you want to, if you want to sort of play this in a midterm. I don't think Spotify is going anywhere. I think short term, like a short term near potential here is around 200. All right. Okay, let's move to some earnings here. ASML. Yeah, well, ASML is flagging entry here on this break. And potential here is all the way up to 916. So, you know, great. What's that? Yeah, 1B stage breakout here. RS on that is 92. It had a 180% increase in EPS last quarter, and sales were up by 87%. So I think ASML is definitely on watch because we may see a run up here just before the earnings. Here's what I'm going to do. Go. Yeah, weekly looks great here as well, especially that finishing volume. Earnings. Okay. Okay, CRM is next. CRM here is again pushing above the key pivot level here. Got an RS of 92 with a potential target of around 274 here. And we're here in a stage 2. Again, we've got a, yeah, RS is also 92 here. The last 3 quarters, you know, we had double digits EPS growth with double digits sales growth. So I think there's more here to go from the CRM. So it's only now 2% above entry level, which I think is still within range. Okay, another play that I want to take a look at is MMYT. Make my trip. Never heard of this company. But they've been growing pretty significantly over the last 2 years. Well, giving that RS is only 76, but I like the signs that I'm seeing here, pointing to, you know, sort of some smart money getting into this. So I'm putting this on watch for next week. All right. Okay. Okay, and we've got a Netflix. Yeah, Netflix is definitely looking solid here as well with this tight consolidation. I think it's just peeked through that level, is pulling back here. So wait for the 20-day line here, pull back, because that's, you know, sort of in line with, well, with that trend line, right? And that wedge. And that might be a good place to get in there. Although, like I said, like going into next week, I'm actually being cautious because I do feel that we due a pullback. Some pullback. How deep that's going to be, I do not know. But you know, I would be cautious. So I want to see some signs of, you know, of reversal or bounces. And you know, we may come down to, you know, sort of test the 20-day line. You can see we did it here. Then we went off for this magnificent run here, pull back here as well. We may as well come back and try to test that over here. Okay, but Netflix looks really good. Like I said, we've got a Wednesday after close, some earnings, and from the standpoint of, you know, what their report looked like, you know, the RS is 96. The EPS was negative over the last 3 quarters with a modest, you know, single-digit growth as well over the last year. But again, often it's very often it's down to the guidance, new subscription numbers. So you know, it's definitely interesting. Okay, Tesla also reporting on Wednesday. Yeah, Tesla is looking here strong as well. Anyone read anything on Tesla production numbers? No. Okay. Well, I think Tesla looking solid here. Let's see where it's at. Yeah, increasing volume here. We've seen this news that Tesla first Cybertruck rolls out.
That's kind of old news, but well,
Is it?
recent.
It's
Yeah,
from.
they've been talking a Cybertruck for a while now, and it's finally coming out. But I guess it's new news if you look at it that way.
Well, it's this article is from the 16th, so
I guess he's been talking it up. But yeah.
so from today, actually. This is from
Oh
today.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, after 4 years, then Tesla announced this weekend that the first Cybertruck rolled off the production line. Okay, well, what do you think is gonna?
They're not the prettiest looking trucks, but huh.
Could start just above the price of the Model Y.
Okay.
The analyst says expects Tesla to price the three variants as follows: single motor 50K, dual 60, tri-motor 80. Okay. Okay, so slightly more expensive than when they were talking about it in 2019. So that's the competing offer to Rivian.
Mm-hmm.
So can we see some Rivian taking a hit?
Riven's been,
And a Ford as well. Okay.
of course, Riven's been climbing like crazy,
Yeah.
so it could take a little hit here.
Street volume growth estimate of 27% for Tesla in 2024. Black sees the Elon Musk-led company volume growing by 53% as the Cybertruck's production. There we go. So, okay.
That's
So,
positive.
so that's important. Prior session on higher than according to. Okay, well, I think this is significant because that seems like it's ready to go. Unlike where we were in 2019 when it was just a hype.
Mm-hmm.
So I think can this I don't know whether that can be also a move to that will impact the guidance for the earnings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm thinking here. So if you want to play, for example, a bit of I guess strategic game here, because as long as we, the risk on this is pretty good, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
We've got down here, which is just below 7%, right? So we only actually needed to get it up to, well, at 324. We got some resistance here at 315, bit of congestion, so let's call it there. So yeah, so right, down to the 300 level.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a possibility on these news, because these news were just released today, that we can see the move up to 300, and then based on what we will see from the earnings call, we can have the higher push here towards that 315 level, 324, and then higher up, right? If the guidance is up and positive results.
Right.
But I think, but I would, the way I would play it, I would sort of small exposure here.
Mm-hmm. Wait for Wednesday for the earnings and
Yeah, and then if you can always add up, if it's positive. But yeah, definitely. So
thinking maybe
I'll
a strangle options strategy too.
yeah.
Buying a put and a call on either side. So it's a good strategy when you don't know which way the price is going to go, but you know it's going to be significant.
Well, I'm just thinking, we saw what's happening with Rivian, right?
Right.
And they are the main competitor. So, and we saw, so I'm always just fascinated here by by the well, some people know something before anyone else, right? So
Right.
did someone know on Thursday that we're going to get these news on Saturday about Tesla,
Ah,
right? Because
good possibility. Yes.
you got a higher volume here, and so that's interesting. So, and I'll just here also just want to see the impact because I want to on the competition, whether that's the same level of move. Wow, coincidentally, look at that.
Oh yeah, looking forward.
So it just feels like 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 the
GM
big,
too.
yeah, like the big guys knew before anyone else, right?
Yep.
There we go. Look, on Thursday, they must have gotten their news on Thursday what Tesla was
Yeah.
planning.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay, well, all eyes on Tesla tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the UAL and American Airlines. Wow. Okay, that's a big.
Boy, did we make some money on that one, huh?
Yeah, we did. Well, we didn't.
Well, I mean, I took most of my profits before it dropped down there, but I,
Yeah, it was. It didn't want to move, did it? I just
mm-mm.
we just broke these levels and but yeah, UAL, yeah, just bearish now.
Yeah,
So, and let's look at the AAL as well.
same thing.
Same thing. So, airlines, being hit. I think we may see pullback to 20 here on all of them. Depending on depending on the reports, right? So they
Hmm.
also report Wednesday after close. And then we get this long-term trend line, which actually coincides with that 20-day line as well. So let's watch that as well. All right. Okay. I did. So that's on the side of the earnings. I looked at the potential momentum plays earlier today, and I just didn't see anything that had a major move after hours that would give me enough confidence to for potential move in the pre-market tomorrow. There was yeah, not many big movers on Friday. I think there was CVKD was up. Let's look at CVKD. And that might be a supernova, but yeah. No, it's too much of a retracement here. Might be some potential if we can break this two level, but not looking great. And BBIO as well. These are, yeah, BBIO. It's the better looking one. So I think for momentum in the pre-market tomorrow is BBIO. And we would want to see the break of 22 here. Just look at the news real quick. Yeah, so we had these after-hour movers, BBIO. Well, you can see there's not many, not a lot of them moving. So, yeah. And they were to host investor call to share top line 30-month results from the phase 3 attribute CM study in patients with transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy on July 17th. So tomorrow, right? Okay. So I guess that's the catalyst here. So 2 levels to watch here, 22 and 20, above 23. We've got a big gap here to close all the way up to 36. Let's get some nice potential, I'd say. But it is risky, right? It's a it's a biotech stock. And we know how sometimes they go, right?
Mm.
If the top line results are negative, it's going to drop like this. Okay, right. Okay, so that's all. So B Bio is the only thing that I think has got some potential and catalyst that can give it a run here as well. Okay, so I think that's all I've got from what I wanted to talk about. But now I'm gonna go and sort of stop recording and go through the chat questions. All right, a second.